Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm going to answer some questions about the Hunter 350 going on the freeway. Some of the most common questions I get are, is 350cc enough and 20 horsepower enough to go on the freeway? Most people say that they don't think it's good enough, but I'm going to answer those questions today, as well as some touring and fuel economy questions and ergonomics. So we're just going to jump on the freeway now and get going. It's a Saturday morning on the Easter long weekend here in Australia. I'm actually re-recording this footage because I did record it last weekend with the intention of uploading it last weekend, but unfortunately my first attempt corrupted, so we're re-recording today. So I hope you're all having a good Easter long weekend, depending on where you are. So yeah, the most common questions I get about the Hunter is, is 350cc enough? Is 20 horsepower enough? Can it actually go on the freeway? Can you overtake? What's the economy like? Is it comfortable? That sort of thing. So, I'm going to jump on the freeway here. This is a 100 km/h zone. It's not 110. You can't get 110 unless you're outside of the city in Western Australia, but I'll go over some of my experiences going 110. So as you see, it's pretty quick to get to 100. I don't think it's particularly slow getting to 100 km/h. And once you get to 100 km/h, it's quite reasonable. It's not revving to heavens. It's not particularly vibrating through the handlebars or through the pegs. It doesn't feel like the engine's at its limit or anything. These bikes are digitally limited to, I think, about 120 km/h. And that'll vary whether you're going up or downhill or, backwind or frontwind. This particular road is a very windy road. I'm right next to the coastline in Western Australia. So right now, you can't really tell because there's no trees, only shrubs, but I'm into quite a bit of headwind here. Adjusting everything, first time using the new action camera. So the first question I always get is 350cc, is 20 horsepower enough? I'm comfortably going 100 km/h, slightly over. So it's definitely enough. It's enough to get you to 100, and it's enough to sit at 100. It's definitely also enough to go to 110 and sit at 110. I've done some days where I've done more than 650 kilometers in one day at 110 km/h, because I've done touring of southwestern Australia. I'll put up a map now to show you sort of my route, going from Perth south all the way to Donnybrook, and doing some in between exploring as well. And so I've literally had 7 hours of riding with the bike at 110 for all the hours that I was in the saddle. Obviously I got off to eat and drink and have some tea, but the whole day on the bike was 110 km/h. And I can tell you it can do that, and it can do that fine. It'll handle it. As far as people saying it's, what if you need to overtake? Well, if you need to overtake, it's because the person in front of you is going 100 or 105. And this bike, I'm now going 100 now, and twist the throttle. Goes up to 110, sit at 110. Slow back down again to 100. If you need to overtake somebody, you can overtake somebody. You're not going to overtake somebody who's doing 120 because you want to go 130. That's not happening. And honestly, most of the time where I've done touring on this bike, it's a comfortable bike. It's a bumbling along bike. You don't really need to be the person out front all the time. You can go 110. You can go faster than 110 if somebody's going a little bit under. But it's fit for purpose, I assure you. I guess another thing about touring is the ergonomics. How comfortable is it? The pegs, I think, they're not full forward like the classic 350. But they're not rear set like a sports bike. They're an in-between. It's a cafe racer bike, and I found it very comfortable. I'm using stock pegs and the stock seat, and I found them very, very comfortable. And there's not a lot of vibration through the seat or the pegs either, I found. In my last video, I installed these bar risers, the carbon fibre ones that I made, which you purchased from me in the email in the description. But when I did those 700 kilometer days, I didn't have these bar risers on here, so I was using basically a whole bike in stock setup. And after 7 hours, I was still good. So I can tell you that ergonomically, it's comfortable enough with the stock setup that you can do 7 hour days of touring. It's comfortable enough. I do have this aftermarket OEM fly screen and windshield, whatever you want to call it. Some people got mad at me for calling it a windshield, but it works as a windshield. It brings the air at 100 kilometers per hour, 110, takes it off my chest and just puts it to the top of my helmet. I'm 5'7", so your mileage may vary if you're taller or shorter, but I found that this windscreen, when I'm going 100 or 110, puts the air off my chest, and that's good. Yeah, as far as its wind resistance goes, this bike, it's not a sports bike. It doesn't have full fairing or anything. It's not too heavy. It doesn't, but I find it doesn't get thrown around by the wind a lot. Again, this ride, I've been riding it directly into the headwind, and I'm not getting thrown around a lot. I'm able to ride one-handed if I need to, though you shouldn't ride one-handed. But you know, you're not getting your handlebars twisted from wind buffets. You know, crosswinds are fine, headwinds are fine. You know, your bike's not wanting to go where it wants to go due to the wind. I find it quite comfortable to sit at 100. I guess another thing is, like, you can see here, there's a line on the road. I can go back and forth across it, and the bike isn't tramlining. We don't have grooved roads in Australia, like in, say, America, and I think some places in Europe. But even on small grooves that I find, the bike doesn't tramline. This is, I think, probably because it has a shorter footprint with the 17-inch wheels than maybe the classic or some other bikes have a 19 front. But I find that it doesn't tramline. So you don't have to worry about that if you're on the freeway tramlining. The final thing would be fuel economy for touring and just riding in general. So if I'm spending a week where I'm just using the bike to go, you know, around the suburbs and going to cafes and things, keeping it under 80 kilometers per hour, I normally get about 2.8 litres per 100 kilometers. If I'm spending the whole day at 110 kilometers per hour, like, and I can assure you that I was, on that touring day, I was 110 kilometers for the entire tank of fuel, it goes at about 3.5 litres per 100 kilometers. If I'm doing mixed, so what I normally do during the week is I commute to work on this freeway, and then, you know, I'm also doing some runs to the shops or runs to the cafes or getting off the freeway to get to where I need to go. On mixed riding, I get about 3.1 litres per 100 kilometers. Which with a 13.5 litre tank, you can do the math, but I normally fill up around between 350 and 400 kilometers. Some other people have said things like, as far as the bike goes, that the mirrors, as far as talking ergonomics, I guess, mirrors, they say that they vibrate too much. I don't think they vibrate too much. They definitely do vibrate, but I've owned dual sport bikes and sports bikes, and you're not going to read a number plate while you're going 110, I don't think. But you can see what's behind you clearly. A lot of people seem to get caught up in comments about, yeah, but the mirrors are too vibrating. Why are you needing to read the person behind you's number plate at 110? You can definitely see there's a car behind you or in your blind spot or wherever. So that's all you need to. It gives you the information you need to know. I don't know why it's a bad, so game breaker to have it vibrating. But hopefully that's answered some of your questions about taking this bike touring or doing long distance or doing high speeds. I don't have experience, unfortunately, with two-up riding. I don't have somebody that goes two-up riding with me. So I can't tell you what it's like with two people, but I can tell you that I'm not a slight person. I'm actually a bit over 105 kilo. I'm quite tubby. So if it can take somebody that's overweight like me at 110 no problem, you'll probably get away with doing 2-up riding. But hopefully that answers some of the questions people have been having about the motorbike, especially some of the key ones that I've heard. I don't have, you know, fueling done on this bike, or cat restrict, de-restricts, or performance camshafts or anything. I changed out the air filter to an oiled air filter just so I could reuse it, but that, without the other supporting mods, doesn't really give any performance gain, so that's a bit moot. So I just run this bike in stock setup. Mileage might vary if you have all of those different performance mods. So yeah, but as far as touring goes as well with these bar risers, so I added these 25mm carbon fiber bar risers that I make and sell, and that was just following my wrist surgery because I wanted to try and get some weight off my wrists. And even only 25mm, I definitely noticed the more upright and relaxed position. So I predict that riding long distance will be even more comfortable now, and I could already do all day on this bike, so that's something I'm looking forward to doing. So I hope that's all answered your questions. If you have any other additional questions, anything I've missed in this video, or other things you'd like to know, just drop a comment down in the comment section and I'll try and reply. Anyway, thanks for coming along for the ride today. I'm just going to stop at the cafe ahead, and that'll be the end of my ride today. But thanks for coming along. I'll have more videos coming out soon. Sorry this one was delayed by a week, but yeah, lost the footage. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.